Bryce Young, like the more I've thought about this Panthers offense, the more excited I've gotten about the offense as a whole, which, shoot, I'm working on something for tomorrow's show talking about like, some offenses that we should be concerned about. So I was looking at a lot of different sources of just like, all right, where do offenses project out? Nobody's really projecting the offense in Carolina to be all that good. They're still like pretty low in terms of the overall projections, but this is one where I think we're kind of missing the boat because this is another room that looks pretty deep with options. Tedero McMillan, Jacob Gibbs pointed this out. He has been on the field for 100% of Bryce Young's dropbacks, to target on 50% of Bryce Young's throws, which I think makes sense. Like you should be trying to get your number one rookie wide receiver totally in sync with Bryce Young. I think McMillan is going to be ready to rock from day one. Thielen is still playing well. We'll see what Leggett gives them. I'm a big Jalen Coker fan. They're really excited about Jatavian Sanders, who we probably need to just go ahead and put him at the starting tight end spot for this depth chart here. They go too deep in the backfield between Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, two guys I think can play. And I think this is a more than functional offensive line. Better in the run game, the pass game for us, but still a more than functional offensive line. So typically, like, when I like an offense overall, but I don't quite know how some of the pieces are going to come together, which is how I feel about wide receiver 2 to, I don't know, 4 or 5 here if you want to include Hunter Renfrow in the mix. Typically, I just think, all right, well, I just want the quarterback of that offense. So it brings me back to Bryce Young as a guy that I think could take a real leap in year 3 of his NFL career.
I'm with you. He's been one of those guys. Drake May has been a huge part of my draft plan where I would just forego quarterback and take Drake May in the double-digit rounds. But if I cannot get May, let's say I get sniped, I think Bryce Young is actually one of the quarterbacks I end up going with because of the fact that he does have some legs, right? He has a little bit of rushing ability to go along with that. Last 6 weeks, he was one of the best fantasy quarterbacks, among all fantasy quarterbacks. So he's, averaging more than 20 fantasy points per game. So that is there. And then you look at what Dave Canales has done with other quarterbacks, right? Like a little bit of a quarterback whisperer, right? So if he can kind of come in for this year with Bryce Young and take him to the next level, obviously this past preseason game, wasn't the best example of that. But listen, it's a preseason game. It's you can't say too much. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's one of those situations where you got the receiving core isn't that bad. You added a true number one talent, and you mentioned, the slot role, like with Adam Thielen. I feel like if Adam Thielen, he's an old man at this point in football years, but he has, Hunter Renfrow who can just slide into that role. So, I don't know if there's that much of a drop off there, if they were to lose him for whatever reason. And I think, there is a point where this offense could take the next step, especially Bryce Young's development with Dave Canales coaching him up.
Yeah, again, I'll talk about this on tomorrow's episode with Nate Tice. But again, when I do kind of an aggregate of a bunch of different projections, they're projected to be like the 26th best offense in the league. They were way better than that last year. Like after week 10, from week 10 on, they were the 13th offense in points per game. So I think something's got to give there. I think the projections are just off because I think we're still underrating what Bryce Young did at the end of last season and how well he fits in this Dave Canales offense that just wants to attack that intermediate area. So all in all, Faraz, I love us highlighting these two guys to start here because if you're playing in Superflex leagues, the number one guy I want to get as my QB2 is Drake May, who right now is still the consensus QB 15 in Fantasy Pros rankings, 106th overall ADP on Yahoo. Again, that's one quarterback kind of standard ADP, so obviously in Superflex is going to go way earlier than that. But if he's still viewed as QB 15, he could easily be your QB2 in Superflex. And if it doesn't work out with a guy like Drake May, then I'm starting to think about the Bryce Youngs or the Trevor Lawrences. And like we've seen Lawrence be a QB1 in a low end, but a QB1 in fantasy. And I think Bryce Young, man, he could be that type of candidate this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have the jury, like the jury's still out for me when it comes to Trevor Lawrence.
Sure.
Like if he can't do it this year in the Liam Cohen offense, with the weapons that he has, right? And I'm a big Travis Hunter guy. Right. And I really feel like, this is his year. Right. And I'm hoping that they give him a real option out of the backfield in terms of, a real receiving option, because, if they're rolling out Tank Bigsby a ton like they did this past week, like, well, he did catch a pass, you know what I'm saying? Like, he did do something there. Maybe there is something, a little bit of a unlocked skill that we could potentially get, like a video game, right? Like, you have these characters where you didn't know they have these skills, and all of a sudden you unlock a skill, like, oh my god, he can catch the football.
He unlocked
Similar
the
to what we
hands
saw.
upgrade for Oz, like the hands package, right? He's upgraded the weapons there. He's got a pair of hands now.
Exactly. So, he is one of those. Trevor Lawrence is one of those, quarterbacks that I'm like, I want to pick because I really believe in Liam Cohen. But it's tough right now after what we've seen lately.